Is it common for women to have regrets if she sleeps with a man too quickly?
I think that's changing. I think it used to be yes, and some people still do, but I think there's been a lot of I don't know, positivity surrounding women and sex recently. So I think no, there's you've got to find out sooner rather than later before you waste too much time.
There's this worrying trend these days of young women saying things like, I don't regret anything I've done in my life, or I live life without regrets. They try and pass it off as though they're being virtuous, forward-thinking and empowering, like regret is this really negative thing that slows you down, but they have spiritually risen above it. All of that is nonsense. Regret is a good thing, and if a woman says that she lives life without regrets, that is a red flag. I regret so many things I've done in my life. Things I said to people, things I didn't say to people, actions I took, opportunities that I missed. In this video, I'm going to explain why that's normal. That's what a life should look like. And why, if a woman says that she doesn't have regrets, why you need to run the other direction. First off, let's look at a definition of the word regret from Oxford Dictionary Online. Regret. Feel sad, repentant, or disappointed over, in brackets, something that has happened or been done, especially a loss or missed opportunity, end brackets. Reading that, how is it that people have negative connotations with the emotion of regret, as though this is something that you shouldn't feel? If something sad happens to you, like your grandparents pass away, and you wish that you had spent more time with them when they were alive, that's regret. That's a good thing. That's what motivates you to treasure life and to not take the people in your world for granted. The problem is that our overall culture is just becoming more and more entitled, to the point where we believe that we shouldn't even have to feel sadness or any negative emotion, but that's ridiculous because they're an essential part of the human experience. If you say something dumb, you should regret that. If you don't invest in that company and it explodes in value, you should regret that. If you cheat on your partner and you lose the love of your life for some short-term pleasure, some thrill, you should regret that. Just because regret comes with feelings of sadness, disappointment, and grief, that doesn't mean that you shouldn't feel it. All of those emotions are legitimate emotions, and they are the appropriate feeling to feel when the circumstances warrant it. If you do something awful to somebody, then you should feel guilt and shame. That is the appropriate emotional response. If you go around hurting people and you never feel guilty, you're just permanently happy, you're like a psychopath. Negative emotions are a good thing because sometimes reality is negative. And in order to be able to process that negative reality, it needs to be reflected in your emotions. Otherwise, you're just delusional and you're artificially blocking off half of the human emotional experience. Now, some people might object and they might say, Alexander, you just don't understand. We're not saying that we don't want to learn from our mistakes. We just think we can do it without feeling regret. I recognize that I did something dumb or something selfish, and I'm not going to do it again, but I don't see the point in regret. Why would I just wallow in sadness? I tell you this, sadness is the point. That's exactly why it's a red flag if a woman says that she doesn't feel regret. Let me explain why. When you're sizing up a woman as a potential long-term partner, one characteristic that she absolutely needs to have, non-negotiable, if she does not have this, do not date her under any circumstances, is the essential element of empathy. This is the ability and the willingness to open herself up to experience the emotions of other people. It is absolutely essential if she's going to be a good partner to you and a good mother to your children. In order to be fully human, you need to feel what your impact is on the people around you. You need to know from firsthand experience what the emotions are that you're generating inside other people's subjective experience. If your partner is being abusive to you, then she should feel through empathy what impact that is having, and then reflect upon her behavior and make better choices in the future as to not cause that emotion. Do you see now why it's so important that women feel the sadness that comes with regret? Why saying, I learned from my mistakes, but I don't like to feel the emotions, is not good enough. In the first instance, if you are sincere about wanting to learn from your mistakes and make improvements to your life so that you don't harm other people, then you're going to want access to as much relevant data as possible. The negative emotions that you're causing other people to feel is really important data, and you need to access that if you're going to be able to correctly gauge how you should proceed in the future. So that's one part, but the biggest reason why you need to avoid these women who say that they live without any regrets is because by that statement, it indicates an unwillingness or an inability to actually feel negative emotions. By her own admission, she isn't in touch with that part of herself, but she needs that in order to properly feel empathy. Without negative emotions, there is no conscience, and there's nothing to stop her from insulting, manipulating, or abusing you. So when you hear a woman say something like, "I live life without regrets," do not interpret her words as though she is some kind of forward-thinking, empowered, spiritual being. The correct interpretation, what she's actually saying, is that I am so limited in my emotional capacity that I refuse to feel regret, because regret is unpleasant, and I'm special, and I'm entitled to only feel good things. Even if other people suffer as the result of my actions, too bad. My comfort is the most important thing. Women who do not feel shame and never regret anything that they do are terrifying. Stay away from them. My latest bonus video is a little bit different from usual. Recently, former adult film star Jenna Jameson wrote a tweet about how she was groomed and trafficked into the porn industry by her boyfriend and his father. The tweet was met with a lot of criticism from men who accused her of playing the victim, of profiting massively off the porn industry. People said that she made millions off bringing other young girls into the industry, and that she's a hypocrite if she wants to keep that money instead of donating it to valuable causes. So in this video, it's me reading through the tweet conversation and then giving my comments as to whether or not I think the criticisms are justified and weighing in on the moral issues that are brought up. I don't usually comment or react to ongoing cultural or social issues, but I thought I'd give it a try and see if people like it. Right now, for every video that I post here on YouTube, I post an additional bonus video on my Patreon page. That means that at the moment, you're only seeing half of the total content that I create. If you'd like access to the other half, then please go and sign up at my Patreon page. It's just a $5 a month subscription, and you'll get instant access to a whole bunch of exclusive content. It's a wonderful way to support the channel, and I would love to see you over there.